Yeah, and you get the point. Either it's straight, but it's still can be very woolly. She straightened it. So he really didn't like what he saw at all. And now, my father, I'm here to petition thee and implore that thou mayest go to Enoch our father and learn him some truth and dwelling place in amongst the angels. And when Methuselah heard the words in his son, he came to me to the ends of the earth, and he had heard that I was there, and cried aloud. And I heard his voice, and I had came to him and said unto him, Behold, I am here, my son. Wherefore thou come to me? And I have answered and said, Because of the great cause of anxiety have I come to thee, and because of a disturbing vision have I approached. And now, my father, hear to me until Lamech, my son, hath there been born a son, like of whom there is none, and nature is not like man in nature. The color of his body is whiter than snow, and redder than the bloom of rose, and the hair of his head is whiter than wool, and his eyes were like a rays of the sun, and opened up his eyes, and there lightened upon the whole house. And he arose, midwife opened his mouth, and blessed the Lord of heaven, and his father Lamech. Become afraid and fled me. So he ran away again. So they report to Enoch and whatnot, and he says, this is a blessing from the Lord. And and he's trying to tell you that he is the father, when clearly he isn't the father at all. Not from these pictures. He's not the father at all. Something really happened, and the Most High intervened, all right? He intervened. He certainly did. He certainly did. So Lamech was really suspect of the baby, and you would be too, because something happened and something went wrong. And in order to put this together, you still have to keep searching and digging and search other books. And you guys are just don't want to. You just reject it or whatnot. And in Enuma Elish and whatnot, in the Lost Book of Enki, they have explanations. But you just don't want to hear it. And they have a timeline and whatnot, and Noah's real name in their story, in Enuma Elish, will be Zizora. And Upnapteptism, Noah is born. He is the son of Enki, an earthling to Badash, a niece and wife of Lamech. This is how they spell Lumach. And it's the same person, Lamech. But the knowledge of his birth, his father, is kept to a secret. They kept it a secret from Lamech, just like they said in the book of Enoch. They told him it's his. What it really wasn't his at all. And this will be the explanation from not just Zechariah stitching. There's just other people who interpret it also as well. They gave it a name. The child Zenzura, he of the long bright life days. And that'll be him. As you see here, you have a being with a name that is responsible for the outcome of Noah. And they try to show you this and hide it, but it's right there. Now, if you keep digging in other books, if you keep digging, they give you further explanation on what exactly happened. And yes, and we'll begin with from Danny Cyril, an author of the Truth Chronicles Book 1, Secrets of the Soul. And he also interpreted Sitchin's work and found otherwise, well, different meanings. Let's see if I can get this up. And what he wrote down was, let's see if I can get this up. Yeah. So he tells you a story how the Gigis, from the last video that I made, that Semyaza, the leader of the Gigis, crashed the wedding. And he also has a story of how Noah got his form. And he called him Zinzura. If it don't shrink on me again, bear with me. They let me have it. But in his book, you can find that Lamech was a servant of Enlil, and his job was to whoop all the human beings into getting the gold or whatnot. And that's it. Enki begets Zinzura / Noah. If you take your mind back, you will remember Enki was conducting some line breeding, and he would usually do this via the female bloodline. One of his experiments was a particularly attractive female called Bantanash, and that's Lamech's wife, who Enki lusted for. Bantanash was already married to Lumach, who was Enlil's workmaster in Eden and responsible for overseeing the human work, and was forced by Enlil to crack a whip on them and make them work harder and for less food. This caused quite a lot of resentment by the humans, and it finally came to a head when Lamech received death threats. He received death threats, according to Danny Sherrill. And this will go back to Genesis 5, verse 28. Lamech had lived 128 years and begot a son, and he named him Noah, saying, "This one will provide us relief from our work and toil of our hands, and our very soil which the Lord placed under a curse." So this in your Tanakh is basically the same as the story that Danny Sherrill is tell you in his book, The True Chronicles Book 1, Secrets of the Soul. That Lamech was a worker, and he was tired of whipping people, and people got tired of whipping him. And that Enki, the older brother, lusted over his wife. To protect Lamech, Enki sent him to his son Marduk, who had a base in Babylon under Marduk's protection. Marduk was ordered by Enki to teach Lamech how to build houses and temples, ziggurats. Meanwhile, he sent Lamech's wife Bantanash to his sister Nimba, who had a medical center in Serbak. From an angry earthly masters protected to be safe, therefore Enki, Nimba, and Serbak was quick to visit. On the roof of the dwelling where Bantanash was bathing, where she was bathing, that sounds familiar with another story of the Bible. She was bathing. Enki, by her loins, took hold and kissed her. His semen into her womb he poured. From this encounter, she bore Zinzura, Noah, stitched in 2002. So this is the interpretation, whether you want to believe it or not, but this is it. And it's the same, there's the explanation from the Bible of why Lamech in Genesis 5, chapter 28, said what he said about his child. And you want to still believe that this book came first? That's the question I have. when Lamech returned to Eden, him and Bantanash, the sun shone, white as snow in his skin. Like the skies were his eyes bright and brilliant, his eyes were shining. Lamech protested, a son unlike an earthling to Bantanash was born. Is one of the Gigi his father? Bantanash swore none of the Gigi fathered the boy. She did not lie, but after all, it was the Lord Enki who was the father. Lord Enki is the father. Lord Enki is the father. There's an explanation to everything. Lord Enki is the father. For the first time ever, Enki produced a white-skinned, blonde-hair, blue-eyed human. For the first time ever. Before, they wasn't like this. But this one, for some reason, turned leaper. Remember, this guy had other kids within the royal line. Don't you ever forget about that. We'll go into that later. But for this one, this last one right here, nah, he didn't look the same. But something more amazing was that the Zora had RH blood. And for the first time, this mutation had ever showed up. Therefore, Enki had took interest in Zora. Zidra. Amazing. So it's an explanation. You have to dig for the truth. It's out there. And there's no way he looked like this. There's no way he looked like that. The truth is out there. And of course, there's other authors stating the same thing. If you want to count the Book of the Dead, it coincides with it too. You know. And you have to realize that this Bible is very late. And you have to consider more historic evidence and totally change your denomination about your thoughts and thinkings. Because not everything's set in stone. And on that, rant went out.